In MMA, the first million is like your first knockout win. Unforgettable. And it tells the world you've arrived. But the way fighters spend that first million, that's where things get spicy. Some splash out like rappers on payday. Others act like your nan clipping coupons at Aldi. Let's run through how some of the sport's biggest names handled their first real stacks of cash. Nate Diaz. Money Channel? Nah, bro. Let's kick it off with Stockton's own rebel, Nate Diaz, the man who won the Ultimate Fighter and thought he could buy his mama house and roll a Cadillac off the lot. Reality check, that prize money barely covered a decent used Toyota Corolla. Nate learned quick, 20 grand ain't ballin' money. Fast forward to his McGregor fights. Finally, millionaire territory. So what did Nate do? Did he grab a Ferrari, pop bottles, and hit the Hollywood Hills? Nah, Nate cussed out a reporter asking about mansions, yelling, "What the fuck is this, the Money Channel?" Instead, he bought a comfortable house in Stockton with a pool, opened gyms with his brother Nick, and pumped cash into their CBD company. The man still rides his bike to training, shops at the local supermarket, and lives humbler than most influencers with 20K followers. Nate's first million was about independence, not flexing for Instagram. Classic Diaz. George St-Pierre, the fossil collector.
My first fight ever, I got paid $1,100 because my opponent did not make the weight. Otherwise, I would have probably made even less because I got 30% of his purse. This is George St-Pierre, and this is how I spend and save my first $1 million.
Now, contrast that with George St-Pierre, the most polite assassin to ever kick someone in the head. When GSP made his first million, he didn't sprint to the Lambo dealership. Nah, he called up a financial advisor faster than he'd shoot a double leg. Smart move. He spent around $200,000 traveling the world just to train. Muay Thai in Thailand, boxing with Freddie Roach, rolling with BJJ legends. Basically, he blew his first million on becoming even scarier. But GSP did treat himself, a $500,000 condo in Montreal, hot tubs and ice baths for recovery.
I bought myself a jacuzzi and a ice bath so I can switch. I believe it helped my body to recuperate better when I have very hardcore training session. I spent about, I would say, $15,000 to $20,000 on that. And it was a good investment, I have to say.
And wait for it, dinosaur fossils. Yeah, the champ splurged $20,000 on T-Rex teeth and megalodon jaws. Man didn't buy chains, he bought literal predators. Only GSP could flex with fossils.
To tell you the truth, like, it would be very boring, the show, if I tell you the truth. Like, my parent mortgage, my parent cars, my sisters, this. There is nothing else that I did on the short notice that, bang, like I spread it, Another $50,000 for my family, gifts, expenses, to help them pursuing their dreams.
Jorge Masvidal, 15 years to overnight millionaire. Jorge Gamebred Masvidal was grinding for over a decade before he finally hit that big payday in 2019. One flying knee later, the man's bank account was heavier than his fight record, but instead of torching cash on cars, Masvidal went business mode. First stop, Acuerdo Mezcal, his own liquor brand. Then came Gamebred Fighting Championship, his own fight promotion. While other fighters were wasting checks, Jorge was laying down foundations to cash checks forever. He did grab some jewelry and designer fits, but don't expect him in a Bugatti anytime soon. He's too busy building empires, from Miami to Mexico, and laughing at Jake Paul's $5 million offers like it's pocket change. Kamaru Usman, the Nigerian nightmare, learns the hard way. Next up, Kamaru Usman. First million hits the account and he goes full dad mode. A white Nissan Maxima and a baller birthday for his daughter. Respect. Then, champ life came. He grabbed a black Range Rover Velar, a Rolex Presidential, and a $500,000 house. But here's where it gets sticky. Usman admits he gave $60K to a dodgy advisor and lost a lot. Man basically got rear naked choked by a scam. Lesson learned though. Usman bounced back, invested in stocks himself, and turned profits. Add in helping his brother with wedding costs and real estate, and his first million was a mix of wins, losses, and proper dad priorities. Jon Jones, property and chaos. Jon Jones, youngest UFC champ, millions flowing in before he even hit his mid-20s. His first big purchase, a $750K house in Ithaca, New York. Sensible, right? Then came the Jon Jones roller coaster. Fast cars, big mansions, a Tesla parked next to a Corvette parked next to a BMW. Man was basically running a car showroom out his driveway. He bragged once about sitting on $8 million cash and $2 million in real estate. But given his wild nightlife, some fans reckon it's a miracle he wasn't broke. Still, credit where it's due. Jon put his first million mostly into property before going full GTA lifestyle. Israel Adesanya, McLaren, McChains, McEverything.
I went back to Nigeria, back to the motherland. That probably cost me about 12K, 15, 150.
Israel, the last style bender Adesanya, made sure the world knew when he touched his first million. First splurge, a $13K chain, then a $5,000 shopping spree. But the headline act? A $500,000 McLaren. Bright orange, loud as his walkouts. He didn't stop there. $150K on a victory tour to Nicaragua and Dubai, $20K on a home theater, $40K in gifts for friends and family, and the big one, his first house at around $800K. He admitted he went a bit past $1 million, which is probably the most Adesanya thing ever. Flashy, fun, but with roots in family, travel, and property. Khabib Nurmagomedov, from Dagestan for Dagestan. Finally, Khabib, the man beat McGregor, became a global star and stayed in his Dagestan village. No mansions in Beverly Hills, no Bugattis. His splurge was opening a world-class gym for his team. He's spent millions on training camps, covered teammates' expenses, and even dropped $1 million on Islam Makhachev's prep. His dad once said even when Khabib won small tournaments, he'd spend all his prize money on friends. That generosity never left. Sure, he bought a Ferrari California and a Mercedes SLS AMG, but beyond that, he's more about goats, farms, and faith. When asked about money, Khabib shrugged. Money is no longer the aim for me. I can provide for my family, and that is enough. That's Dagestani gangster talk for I'm rich, but I don't care. So there you have it. From Nate Diaz treating millions like pocket lint, to Adesanya revving $500,000 in a McLaren, to Khabib building gyms instead of mansions. MMA fighters spend their first millions just like they fight, with style, chaos, discipline, or rebellion. And if there's one lesson here, the first million changes your life, but how you spend it shows who you really are.